Welcome everybody to the Safe Space podcast. I am CEO of Music for Your Mental Health. I go by the name Jay. We have in the building. Go ahead, introduce yourself, please. Alicia Cherie.
What's up? What's up? Alicia Cherie. You're a resident rock star. You're a chief brand officer for Music for Your Mental Health.
Hell yeah.
Yes, sir.
Who else we got in the building?
Who else we got in the building? How about Sean McBride, who I heard in the background?
Guys, you know.
Emerge from the shadows.
Everybody's voice. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen?
Uh-huh.
Sean McBride,
In the flesh, y'all.
CFO, the Chief Fun Officer. So I'm here to make sure we're all having fun tonight, guys.
Who else we got in here? Oh, we got another visitor tonight.
Yeah, I'm in the building, man.
Woo woo.
Mm-hmm.
Chilling.
Smokey sign.
You know what I mean? Just chilling, catching all the vibes.
Yes, sir. S. Dot is in the building. Talk to
What's
people
good,
that
y'all?
know who you are.
Hey, how y'all doing? It's Sean Lewis, Associate Marriage and Family Therapist, Curriculum Director for Music for Your Mental Health. Good to see y'all.
Happy
Good
to
to
have
see you. And
And
we got Stevie in the comments.
come on, Steve.
What up, Big Stevie?
What up, Steve?
Man, super happy, super excited to get this episode started. We have an amazing guest in the building. Freaking superstar, celebrity, artist,
Facts.
singer, songwriter,
Uh-oh.
freaking script writer, director, producer.
Mm.
Multi-hyphenate.
Mm-hmm.
She was getting some bars off on her last project, rapping on us.
Come on.
Let's make some noise for Hanani Taylor.
Woo woo.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hanani, what's good?
Hanani, how you doing?
I am doing great. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so excited to do this. This is so fun. I've been like watching, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Happy to have you as a part of this. So much has been happening since I feel like we last, talked. So much life has happened, in fact. And so I'm super excited to get into it with you and unpack what's been going on and talk about some things that are incredibly important to you and us. So before we even get started, we like to do a check-in. And generally with our check-in, we ask 3 things of our guests. We want to know what your high of the week is, what your low of the week is, if you had one. And we also want to know what you've been doing for self-care this week.
Okay. Okay. So I have a good high. I tend to neglect personal projects for projects. But I've been wanting to do this like DIY project in my room for several months now. And I finally did it this week, and I've been putting it off.
Whoa. What I'm talking about.
Yes. I have been putting it off for so long because I was like, oh, I have more important things to do, or things that deserve my attention more because it's more like work. But this is something that was just for me and just fun and something that I just get to enjoy, and I did it. So I'm very happy.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yay.
Awesome.
Any lows this week?
There's always some lows. I think I've been dealing with like my own expectations on myself, and always feeling like I have to be like, go. So I had a little moment earlier this week where I had a bit of a a breakdown just because I kept going and there were no breaks. So and it helped me at the end of it because I realized that I needed to take more time to just relax. And I have a hard time with that. So I'm still learning what that means. But
Same.
yes. Oh, I
You're
know.
in good company.
Yeah, so that was the lowest this week. So it's really not that bad.
Yeah. Oh, that's not that bad. How about self-care? What have you been doing for self-care this week?
Ooh, so I'm a big reader. So I like to read for self-care. Although I do put a lot of pressure on myself, even with my books. Because last year I read like 50 books. So I started this year like I have to read 70 books.
Hey,
But it is a very like cathartic thing for me. Also painting. And lately, fashion has been a form of self-care for me. Dressing up, even when I have nowhere to go, just playing with accessories at home or wearing something new outside that would scare me before has felt like not only a challenge, but a form of self-care for me and a form of finding new things that I love and things that make me happy.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, there are a few questions that we need to get into. First, Hanani, for people who don't know you, haven't had the pleasure of knowing your awesomeness, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself and your journey in music?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I've been singing since I was 3 years old. So music has always been a part of my life. I started singing at church at a young age, but I was a really shy kid. So my mom put me on stage and realized on stage I wasn't so shy. So, it was something that strangely, I felt more comfortable on stage than I did like having a one-on-one conversation with someone as a kid. So,
Really?
and so, even still, so it all started really young. I'm from Ohio. I started coming out to California when I was 8 years old because I was acting as well. And it all kind of went from there. Since then, I've released 2 albums. And my first one was released in 2018. So 2 albums since 2018. As an actress, I've been on a lot of shows like Criminal Minds and Fantasy Football on Paramount Plus was my latest thing with Kelly Rowland and Marsai Martin. Yeah. And Omari Hardwick, Aaron Flynn, all these amazing people. And another movie, Aristotle and Dante, I was just in with Lin-Manuel Miranda and Eva Longoria. And it's just been this crazy journey. But music, even though acting is my most consistent job, I guess, music is what I always fall back to because music was always first. Music and writing songs was always first for me. When I was 6, if you asked me what I wanted to be, I would have said I wanted to be a poet because I always wrote, and that turned into my songwriting. So yeah, music is such a big part of my life. I performed at the Apollo when I was 11 years old. I was on American Idol when I was 15. 15? Yeah, 15. And yeah, I opened up for Yolanda Adams and Genuine and just a bunch of amazing people that I can't believe I've been in the same room with and, worked with too. So yeah, it's been quite the journey, and it's still going from here. I'm still working on more music projects. I just put out my last single a couple months ago, and yeah, they've been doing really well, and I've got to meet so many amazing people and talk to them about my songs. My last album, I've really gotten to talk to fans of it because it was a very personal project for me. So a lot of people connected to that, and yeah, it's just been this crazy journey. I don't remember I never had a life without music. I was gonna say I don't remember my life before music. I was 3, so I was doing too much.
You're a little difficult.
A little difficult. So yeah, I mean, this has been my life for a long time.
That's awesome. Well, you mentioned that your journey started in Ohio. So I thought it would be kind of cool if we brought in another Ohioan that you might be familiar with.
I love this Ohioan. Hi, oh my gosh.
How are you?
Oh my gosh, I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. It's been what? Like, I literally haven't talked to you since.
Well,
we've been talking on social, but I haven't seen you.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you since like 8th grade.
Yeah, no, really. It's middle school.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That is so crazy.
That's insane.
Oh my gosh.
It's so good to see. You look great. The hair, the smile, everything. You're glowing.
Thank you. So are you. I love everything.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me crash this and for setting up the surprise to let the listeners come back together.
Yes, I love it. I love this so much. It's like middle school, but like the good kind of middle school.
The good kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the others.
The safe space middle school.
Yes,
Yes.
middle school. How middle school should have been.
Exactly.
Listen, we will get to that, but
Oh my gosh, that's so great. Well, oh my god, I can't believe I'm like seeing you and like it's just this is great.
Oh, this is what happens in the safe space. We just keep the love going, and
I love
we
it.
make sure people are comfortable. So we had to do it right.
I love that so much.
I love it. Am I like in the middle of like a good conversation? I don't want to talk and like override this. I want to listen to what Hanani has to say too.
Yeah, well, you just jumped in on Hanani telling us about her origins with music, and we're actually about to dive into really the origin of mental health and how that kind of started in your life, and when you realized that it was something that was important.
Oh yeah. It's so funny because for me, I think discovering what mental health even meant was a journey. I personally, I started having a lot of body image issues around the time that I started coming to LA. So around the time I was 8 years old. And so at this time I was in front of a lot of cameras. I was doing a lot of commercials, and I started recognizing the fact that I had a body, which was like this weird realization. I realized that I had a body and everybody has a body, and that some bodies were praised and some weren't. And I started to hyper criticize my body. And at the time, I didn't know the concept of mental health. I come from an amazing family, but mental health wasn't really something that we talked about because, we're very go, go, go. And, my mom is extremely strong and an attorney, and my grandparents were the same way. And, it was all about just kind of sucking it up and doing it. And I didn't really have a concept of what mental health really meant. So I think around the age of 8 was when I discovered that it was a thing. But I kind of discovered the negative side, the anti-mental health at that time. And then I did develop an eating disorder that followed me throughout all of my school years. So it was something that music, it's funny because I remember writing a lot of songs in high school about my eating disorder and never showing anybody because I was like, who wants to hear a song about an eating disorder? But for me, writing those songs was a very cathartic thing. And I realized that I was actually helping myself, and it eventually got me to the point where I could tell someone, and I actually got help for what I was struggling with at that time. So yeah, I think for me, mental health played a big role in my life from an early age because I started developing body image issues so young. Like a lot of young girls and boys and everyone, I think, especially when you're in the industry, and my mom worked so hard to protect me, but there's only so much protection that you can do when your kid is being criticized by strangers. So it was a very kind of strange place to be in at 8 years old, being in a room with other girls that looked kind of like me but didn't look like me and weren't me, and one of us would get a part and the rest of us wouldn't, or and you have to wonder like, oh, what's wrong with me. So it's while I wouldn't change it for anything, and I love that I started in this industry so young, it is something that comes along with being young and being in the public eye or in being criticized in any way. I also did pageants at between the ages of like 11 and 17, which is all about, how you look. So there was a lot of insecurities that came with that. But it is good because I did learn how to take care of my mental health from a young age because of that. I learned my own triggers. I learned how to, see something coming, see a negative thought coming, and how to steer it the other way from a young age. So I think it's helped me now. It's something really interesting. And another really interesting thing is when I was about 15, I booked a Nickelodeon show. Yeah. And it was like a series regular. I was supposed to be like one of the main people on this show. And the show ended up flopping. It ended up not going through. And at the time, I saw it as such a negative thing. But looking back and looking at the mental state that I was in at that time, I don't think I was ready for something like that. I don't think I was ready to be the star of a Nickelodeon show when I didn't even feel comfortable in my own skin, when I was still crying in dressing rooms. I definitely see the good now in the way that my journey ended up progressing, instead of things that I wished happened at that time. I think that they didn't happen for a reason. And I think one of those big reasons was for the sake of my mental health and for the sake of learning how to cope with certain situations, learning how to cope with rejection. I think now I really learned how to cope with rejection really, really well because I get rejected on the daily. As an actress, you're constantly sending out, tapes and going in front of casting directors, getting to a certain point and then not hearing anything again or getting told not this time. So I think it's made me stronger, but it is also something that I don't think is for everyone. And I think that that's okay. I don't think it makes you weak. I don't think that it makes you strong because you can, you feel comfortable being judged. But I just think it's important to know when to take a break or know when to say no or know when to stop. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, you said so much. Like, let me just take a second to absorb everything you just said.
Yeah.
Man.
I'm a Gemini. I'm a talker.
This is a podcast. This is exactly where you're supposed to be. This is doing exactly
you're in the right place.
Oh, I'm curious. You mentioned about learning about your triggers. I'm literally still learning what my triggers are. When did you even, remotely begin to discover like, okay, this is triggering me? Because I feel like that even the word trigger wasn't really in our vernacular up until recently, at least mine. So like, when did you realize, hey, when this instance happens, I feel this way because? Can you think of any like specific time or?
Yeah, I think definitely when I was recovering from my eating disorder was when I started kind of learning about the concept of triggers. So I'd say I was about 17 when I realized that when people would say certain things or comment on my body in certain ways, I would start to overthink everything and start to feel like I was regressing as far as like my progress and getting better. So I had a talk with like my family and my friends about certain things, like, you know, I would just prefer if you didn't comment on my body, even if it's a, you know, you see it as a positive thing. For me, it might not feel that way right now. And it's really good. I had, you know, such supportive people around me who understood that, you know, a comment that might make them feel good might not make me feel good. So at the time I was like, just, you know, let's just stray away from any comments about my body. And yeah, that's kind of the first time that I realized like, oh, this thing triggers me and this is what I should do about it. And I should be honest and with myself and with the people around me. And if they love me, they'll understand and try their best. You know, they might not always remember, and that's okay, but I know that they'll try. So yeah, I'd say that was the first time that I really kind of understood what the word trigger was. And that was probably around the time when it was starting to be used a lot, like, you know, yeah, like 6-ish years ago. So yeah.
That's incredible. Like, not only did you recognize it, but like to be able to recognize it and set healthy boundaries for yourself.
Powerful.
Like, that's super powerful. Like, yeah, that's awesome. I realized that me myself, I am a habitual people pleaser.
Wow.
Same.
Setting boundaries is tough because it might not be pleasing to others if I'm saying something that, you know, they might not like. And so it was really difficult for me. And I was like, you know, yesterday years old learning how to like really acknowledge triggers and set healthy boundaries. So the fact that you are on that, we're on that already, light years ahead, like that's awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like setting boundaries was like the first thing that I kind of learned.
Yeah, wow, it's great. And I think a lot, especially in entertainment, tends to attract people pleasers because we want to make people happy. We want to entertain. It's like it's in our DNA, and so like it's an especially difficult skill to master, to really set boundaries when you start as a people pleaser. So,
oh yeah, for sure. It's funny because I feel like Chris probably knows it. So one of like Chris's good friends was my childhood best friend. Like we became best friends when I was 5 years old, and she was my backbone because I never stood up for myself as a kid. So I took her like everywhere. I remember like summer camps, the kids would be a little mean to me, and she would be like, "Stop talking to Hanani like that," and like, you know, like she was like honestly, I got a lot of the tools that I needed to stand up for myself from Taylor, from her. So yeah.
Yeah. So wait, Chris, how was Hanani in middle school?
Hanani was sweet. I feel like we were both, well, I think she was like a little quiet, but in like a good way. Like you had to just like talk to her for her to open up and like get out of that shell. And like coming from, I'm sure, another school where we went to a very small school. So like everyone kind of knew everybody. And so coming from the outside in of like jumping into that, I'm sure that was difficult. Or I don't want to speak for you, but I'm sure it was probably difficult, like seeing all these people who've known each other from like elementary school, just like conversing 24/7, having like these inside jokes or just like having this rapport with one another, and then coming from an outside and then being like, how do I navigate this? But so sweet, so kind.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I mean, that's so true. Because it's funny, because I went to multiple schools throughout, you know, elementary school, middle school, high school, and they were all small like that. They were all these small, like, private schools. So every single time I was like, how do I get into, you know, these groups that are already pre-made?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I totally that's completely right. And I was also a lot younger than most of the people in my grade. So I think that kind of, it made me feel a little bit on the outside. I don't think I told people that I was younger because I didn't want to feel younger, So, I didn't want to be like different. I was definitely quiet, definitely a pushover. I remember I don't know if it was in middle school or if it was in elementary school, but I remember carrying other kids' books because I wanted them to like me, and I thought if I carry their books or if I carry their bag or give them my favorite folder, they'll like me. And I remember around the age of 6 having this epiphany. I was like, if I do what people want me to do, they'll like me, and if people like me, then my life will be perfect. And it's the weirdest thing for a 6-year-old to think, but I definitely remember having that thought at a really young age. So I think I kind of conducted myself like that throughout school, just trying to be a people pleaser. Even in high school for homecoming, I went to 2 different homecomings because I didn't want to tell one group no. And, I wasn't a big no sayer at all. I was very much whatever, because I really have always hated conflict. So I never wanted to be in it or start it or be around it. I just wanted people to like me, which has been a slap in the face since I've lived in LA for almost 10 years now. It's just been not everyone's gonna like you, and you can't do anything about that. All you can do is be yourself and just be the best person you can be, and the people who like you and love you will stay and be there for you, and the people who don't, bye.
Yeah,
That's it. I'm so happy you arrived to that conclusion.
Yes.
It took some time. It took some struggles and some slaps for sure.
Yeah, no, we've all been slapped. It's the only way. It's the only way. I used to have a slap effect, but I didn't have that tonight.
No.
After the
No
Will,
slaps.
So glad you
No
don't.
slaps.
after the Will Smith, Chris Rock thing, I had a slap effect.
Love that. Oh my gosh.
But yeah. So and you hit on getting over, that need for perfection. And I know that you said you wanted to talk about grief. Some things have happened that required grieving. So if you want to kind of set that up for us.
Definitely. So it's crazy because my last album that I released at the beginning of 2021, the entire theme was grief. And it was never something that I sought out to do or planned to do. It just kind of happened. I wrote the entire album in a day during the height of COVID. And I was thinking about a lot of the people that I had lost. At the time, it was my grandparents, who I was very, very close to. They raised me alongside my mom and other family. But yeah, my grandparents were some of my best friends, and I had just lost my grandmother not too long before the pandemic, the end of 2018. So I hadn't really processed those feelings and what they meant. I had lost my grandfather before then, when I was in middle school. But yeah, I kind of had this moment in solitude, the solitude of being quarantined,
Yeah.
that I kind of had a chance to come to terms with grief and what it meant. And I had this idea that grief had a timeline, and I realized at that time that it doesn't have a timeline. It's something that is there. It's something that you deal with, but it's ever changing. It's always changing. There are times, right after I had lost a loved one, that I, didn't feel much of anything. And then 5, 6, 7 months later, I'm, crying in my car.
Yeah.
It's just so unpredictable. And I think the idea of something being final is really hard for me as somebody who doesn't like change. The idea of life not looking the same forever is a very scary thing. But then you grow and you realize that you can keep living, and you can keep living well. And it doesn't mean that you're over grieving or that it's stopped or, that it's ended. It just, it's all part of the process. And I think that process is a lifelong process. And I think it's okay. Strangely, I found a lot of beauty in it as well, because it's an emotion that you don't really experience until you experience it. And it's so strange that it's like one of those emotions, and grief isn't always just losing a loved one. It's also grieving a situation or a relationship, or even a home or a place you used to live. So grief comes in all forms. For me, it was mostly about losing loved ones. So I wrote my last album, dedicated it to my grandparents, and then later that year my dad passed away. So the album took on a completely different meaning when it was a parent. It's a different feeling knowing that, one half of the unit that created you isn't here anymore. Right. So the album just kind of, it was already out at that point. It was already up and on Spotify and everything, but to me, it took on a completely different meaning, and it almost restarted the process. But I felt like I had this tool now, which was my own album that I created, but I used it as a tool to, aid myself, I guess, through that. And the crazy thing about my dad passing away was that I had these crazy mixed emotions, mostly because I was grieving and I was in one of the worst times of my life. And then that same week, I booked this huge film it was the Lin-Manuel Miranda and Eva Longoria, and I booked a role in this huge film that is a really popular book, and I was very excited. And then I felt guilty for feeling excited or feeling any feeling other than sadness at that time. And it made grief such a more complex feeling and emotion for me, because it was something that I could also have moments where I'm smiling, moments where I'm excited, moments where I'm happy, and moments where I'm a mess. And it's all okay. And I learned to ride through all of those emotions and appreciate all those emotions and really try to understand all of those emotions. To me, grief is one of the most complex emotions or feelings. I don't even know. It's just one of the most complex things that you can go through as a human and that you can feel as a human. And a friend of mine sent me this really amazing article at the time about a grief baby, and the fact that it is this baby that grows up and you learn to nourish it, and you learn to respect it, but sometimes it's crying and screaming and messing up your day, and other times it's quiet, and it grows up, it grows with you, it never goes away, but it grows and it changes. And that really changed my perspective at the time. But yeah, my entire album is it was all about grief and just kind of an existential album as a whole. It was just about, everything that we can't understand, things that we're maybe not meant to understand, and being okay with not knowing everything. As someone who's always been a researcher, it's hard for me not to have control and to know what comes next, and that has to do with my own emotions too. It's hard for me not to understand what I'm feeling, but I've learned that it's okay to just sometimes sit in those emotions and maybe not fully understand them, and that's all right. It's all part of the human experience and everything that comes with being human. So yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, it's been a journey, and this album is definitely been my story for everyone to see and feel with me.
Well, thanks for sharing that. Speaking of the album, I think it's time that we go behind the bars.
Let's go.
And listen to one of these one of these amazing tracks.
Come with us behind bars.
So the name of this song that we're about to play is called Changes. So let's give it a listen. That's not Changes. But I was testing. This is Changes.
I hear you and the birds that sing outside my room. I know it's you, 'cause no one's words can soothe me like you do. Did you see me grow? I'm a little older now. The last time that we spoke, you said I'd make it through somehow. So for you, I will heal slowly, surely. For you, I'll move on. You stay with me. It won't happen overnight. It may never happen at all. But I'm slowly healing, 'cause you want me to. I'll dance with you one day on the moon. You'll tell me stories I was too young to know. For you, I will heal slowly, surely. For you, I'll move on. You stay with me. It won't happen overnight. It may never happen at all. But I'm slowly healing, 'cause you'd want me to. Summertime was nice while it lasted. Winter could be nice
you sound awfully nice on the phone, and I love you so much. Papa can never tell you in words. He never discovers words. So that's for me to tell you how I feel about you. You're great in my heart. Thank you. Love you. Have a good day, you too. Bye-bye.
Wow, wow.
That's incredible. That was incredible.
Incredible.
Thank you.
Incredible. So, wow. Where do we begin? What's the line you're saying? Summertime. What's the full line?
It's summertime was nice while it lasted, but winter could be nice though it changes. And that's actually the first line I wrote for the whole entire song.
Wow.
Yeah, it was I don't know exactly how that came about. I kept hearing birds outside of my room at around this time, and I was like, this is my grandpa. I know this is my grandpa. But yeah, there was something about I was really reminiscing on the time that I had with him and missing it. But then it's almost like I feel like I felt him like to say like, you know, you have to make new memories. And like the future can be just as great, you know. And I think that's kind of where that came from, you know. It's just like, yes, the past was great and I have so many memories, but you know, the future can be great too. And it's different. It looks different. It feels different. It's different without someone that you loved, but it can be great. And you know, it can hurt sometimes. Good things happen, bad things happen, but you know, it can all be great, even though it's different.
Wow.
Yeah,
The song was super powerful. And when I was hearing the song, one of the things that stood out to me was even though you were writing that for yourself, it sounded like your loved one was interjecting throughout that and kind of talking you through the process. And I you know, with the tempo of the song, I felt, you know, listening to the song, I felt like your grandfather was waltzing with you throughout the whole thing and talking you through like, hey, summer could be nice and so can winter, and there's so many moments that you can enjoy. So like, even though you're speaking to yourself, you hear his voice and you feel his presence just waltzing and being present with you in the space. So that was,
Wow.
I was catching feelings just listening to everything. It was awesome.
Oh, thank you. I love that. I mean, that's the whole thing. That song, like, it feels like it almost didn't come from me. I don't remember writing anything except for that first line. So I know I did, but it all happened so fast. So yeah, and that's his voice at the end. My grandpa's voice is a voicemail that he left for me when I was little. And so yeah, it's just, you know, he was someone who was always like, you know, you better get out there and do what you want to do. You know, you better just have adventures, have fun. And that was kind of his whole personality was have adventures, have fun. And I know that he wouldn't want me just cooped up crying all the time because he wasn't there. He'd be like, you know, go make some new memories. So that's where that all came from.
Love it. That was beautiful.
So beautiful.
Awesome. That it reminded me of especially the weather analogy, because it's so perfect, because it's something that we can all understand. Like, not like you can feel that. You know what summer feels like. You know what winter feels like.
Right.
I was watching this YouTube random. You know how random YouTube gets. You just end up in this rabbit hole. So don't ask me what I was doing, but I was watching some Eskimos living in negative 40-degree weather. Just a day in the life with some random Eskimos. I don't know how I found it, but I'm watching this, and at the end of the video, the dad says, and I wrote this down, he said, there's no such thing as bad weather. There's just weather and your attitude towards it.
Yes. I love that.
Come on.
I love that.
Because here are these people surviving in what, for me and you, would be a big heck no. And they are thriving.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
it's
like-
just different. not necessarily bad. It's just different than what you're used to.
it's just different.
Sure.
It's your attitude.
Mhm.
And so, you know, summer is summer and it's great. And winter is winter. And it's great too.
Yeah.
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 You know, that's how we acknowledge our feelings in ourselves. We're great either way. You know, and so, you know, thank you so much for sharing the song. Thank you so much for sharing yourself and your experiences in this podcast.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to have been here and to have talked to you guys. You guys are amazing. And I was just talking about the other day, I think Jay is the first new person that I met when I moved to LA. I think so. So you set the tone for me for like living here.
That's awesome.
Back in like 2014.
Hey.
That's so dope.
I'm honored to be the first person that you met. And yeah, you've always been super awesome. I don't know if you remember this, but we had a festival in Paris, California. And I remember it was like, because I remember you just had started driving on the freeway. And this was like, the first time. And like, you showed up and you were not feeling well.
I was so sick. I ended up going to like the hospital afterwards when I got back. So it wasn't like anything bad, but I was like, I can't be here.
And I was like, wow, the fact that you drove all the way down, it was an easy hour and a half at least. Sick. Just to show face and say, hey, I'm here to support, but I gotta go. But I'm here. I was like,
yes, I was determined to try. I was like, I gotta get there. I need to at least tell you face to face that I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, and ever since then, I was like, you know what? Anani's good in my book.
Oh, thank you. Not to mention, I had just driven on the freeway for the first time like a couple weeks before that. So I also didn't really know how to drive.
You were doing so, yeah, thank you. Before we wrap, I'm gonna give you a chance to do your shout outs. Shout out anyone you want to shout out, or any projects or anything that you want to shout out.
Yes, of course. I mean, of course, my mom's listening. So, hello, mommy. I love you.
Hey, mom.
Hello, mom.
She learns for everything. She's the one who started all of it. So, yeah, shout out to her. And then also I have a lot of like projects on the horizon. If you haven't watched Fantasy Football, I am in Fantasy Football. I play the character Kayla. It's with Kelly Rowland and Amari Hardwick and Ron Flynn and Marseille Martin. It's amazing. It's on Paramount Plus. It's out now. You can stream it. Also, Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe is on the way soon. I can't say where yet, but it's gonna be big. So I'm really excited. I also have my own film that I've been shooting. This is my 4th directorial project, feature film, and I'm very excited. And it's gonna be somewhere very interesting too, very soon. No, not very soon, but soon enough. So yeah, and then I have a song out. My latest song is Spaceship on Spotify. And of course my whole project, my last project was Everything is Temporary. And I have a lot coming out, a lot of older things that you can watch on streaming. If if you like Criminal Minds, watch I think it's season 11, episode 19. I might be wrong, but it's called Tribute. So you can watch that episode. And I'm also in the show Punky Brewster on Peacock TV. I am a recurring character on that throughout the whole second half of the show. So yeah, it's a great show. It's a fun family show too. So it's great for everyone.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Anything else? Just pretty much turn on the TV and Hanani will be there.
Yeah,
That's it.
I just hit my milestone of being on every major network I think I've been on now. So pretty much if you go into any like Hulu, I'm on The Orville on Hulu with Seth MacFarlane and yeah, a lot of stuff. So if you want to see me, then yeah.
Aren't you in a commercial too, like a Taco Bell commercial?
Yeah, I did a Taco Bell commercial last year. I did a Hyundai commercial and a Baskin Robbins commercial all within a couple months of each other. So.
Yeah.
Just turn on the TV, everyone.
Just turn on the TV.
Yep, and then yeah, I have more music on the way too. Very soon, within the next couple months.
Okay.
Love that.
Is this the year that we're gonna do some music together?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's go.
All right. Anybody else want to give any shout outs? I'm gonna give a shout out. Everybody in the podcast, everybody that's watching us, thank you for joining. We are Music for Your Mental Health. You can find information about us on our website, musicforyourmental.org. We specialize in workshops for children and young adults, helping them to use music to understand mental health and to better communicate their feelings for themselves to others, giving them tools to be better humans in this ever-changing, wild, wild world that we live in.
That's it.
Thank you so much to Alicia Cherie. Thank you, Chris Cruz, for popping up on us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to S. Dot for being here. Thank you to the crew, the in-house crew, my guys, aka Giles Mavis. Shout out to Haskell Jackson who came in at
the just popped in.
Let's go, Big Hass.
Last 2 seconds.
Our CEO.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Wait, quick,
Peter
Haskell,
Jackson.
what episode is this? What episode number is this?
Oh, that's the test question.
Really, Elise?
Yup.
It's number 5.
I gotta do it.
Number 5.
Okay. That's just because you saw the post. But all right.
No. Nani, what up?
Haskell! Oh my God, Haskell's my family. I love Haskell. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see you.
I'm so sorry. I'm just popping on, man. I've been under it. As y'all can see, I'm all under it. It's bananas. I'm so sorry, guys. But I'm sure you lit it up with the podcast. I'm sure the family showed you much love, as much as you deserve it. And man, I felt it at the very end. You know, I already know it's beautiful. So I'll make sure to watch it.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
All
right.
Once again, we are Music for Your Mental Health. Thank you again to the amazing Hanani for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
We are signing off. We're going to sign off on Changes.
I hear you and the birds that sing outside my room. I know it's you, 'cause no one's words can soothe me like you do. Did you see me crawl